Good morning. Good morning, everyone. It's here. Or it's almost here. We've got 15 more minutes before it's here. But before it's here, I did want to start a little early because I wanted to lay down some of my theories and talk about where I think the story is going to go before it actually gets here. I just wanted to have a record of my thoughts pre chapter 5. Alright. So, first of all, I want to thank Attic Monster for this wonderful transition I now get to use. It took me a bit to figure out how to do it because I wasn't aware OBS had a built-in transition feature. Even though it's right there. I am not a smart person. So, before we really get into it, first of all, I would appreciate if people didn't post spoilers in chat. I know I'm playing it immediately as it releases, but for all I know, there has been leaks. For all I know, there has been people will be as soon as something is figured out, they are going to go and spread it throughout the internet. But I would appreciate no spoilers in chat. Even if it wouldn't bother me personally, there's still a lot of people who maybe aren't going to get around to the game for another day or two. So be considerate of everyone who's trying to avoid spoilers. If you want to support this channel, I would have super heckin' appreciate it if you guys went and checked out my VGen. The streamer bot will post a link to it every hour on the hour. So please go check that out. So big initial theory that I think everyone has just sort of accepted as canon at this point. I am a Death Knight supporter. I firmly believe that the night is December holiday. I realize that over the last year, there have been people have been pushing theories about oh no, that's too obvious. It's obviously got to be December. It's obviously got to be Carol Holiday who's the knight. And some people are also well, Rudy's got to be the knight actually. Or Azriel is the knight. I think Rudy Holiday is the most out there, if I'm being totally honest. I've just discarded that. I've looked at what people say is the reason behind that. I don't buy any of it. Azriel, I think that's just that's too in line with we've already done Azriel as a primary antagonist in Undertale, so I think that would be treading old ground if Azriel ended up being the knight. Carol Holiday being the knight, I think that's possible, but I feel if Carol was the knight, that would be thematically and narratively less interesting than if Des was the knight. I just genuinely feel Des being the knight is more interesting from a storytelling perspective. And I think because the game gives us about as much information about Des as it does about Azriel, the game has sort of been for the people who aren't Delta pilled like me and a bunch of the theorists. People are going into this game not really knowing anything about the deep lore, and they have no idea. They have no idea about Des. I recently saw someone let's play through chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4 for the first time, and they were standing in Des's room in chapter 4 in the holiday house and said with a straight face, "Who the hell is Des?" And it just floored me that that kind of person could exist. But I have to remember, not everyone is as tuned in to the deep lore as me or any of the like theorists. So I feel like from the perspective of someone who is like really tuned in to like all the theory crafting and stuff, deaths might seem obvious and therefore a red herring, but I feel like Carol is way more of a red herring for people who are just casually playing the game. So Carol Knight is honestly, if Carol is using Dess's like old Titan adjacent God of Hyperdeath OC, and she's getting some that, and she's using that as her alter ego, that could be interesting. I could accept it from that perspective, but I genuinely think that Des being the knight is going to be a lot more interesting as a story beat. Okay, but that's kind of like where the fandom in general is sort of sitting. That's kind of the theory everyone's been sitting on. I think it's pretty obvious that Chapter 5 is going to have to do with Asgore. I think the Dark World is either going to be in his shop or around his shop. I honestly think he's going to be the one to create this Dark Fountain. This isn't going to be a night fountain. This is going to be Asgore trying to prove to everyone, hey, this is I've been trying to prove this to you guys for forever, and now I'm going to prove it by doing it myself. What else? I honestly don't think the knight is going to be showing up that much in this chapter, if at all. I definitely think this is going to be predominantly an Asgore-focused chapter, and we're only going to see or hear about the knight in relation to the super boss, because the knight has been the source of all the shadow crystals we've been picking up from like Jevil, Spamton, Gerson, and the knight itself. I definitely think we're going to be running into like the trail the knight has left behind in this chapter. From the trailer, there was a brief glimpse of like a white feather, and I've seen a couple of people theorize that this is the white pen of hope that Gerson talks about in chapter 4. I definitely think Gerson talking about the white pen of hope is strictly in regards to Susie. It's a metaphor, not a physical object that Susie gets to wield. I don't think Susie is gonna internalize that, though, and she's gonna see this feather and think, ooh, there's the white pen of hope. We need to get that. And it's going to lead them astray just a bit. It also could just be a leftover from the angel. It could be an angel feather. As far as the Light World stuff goes, I think Azrael might show up. He's either going to show up now or he's going to show up in chapter 6. That's what I'm feeling. Because I think that at some point he does have to get involved in the narrative. At some point, I think his connection to Des is going to be super important. So eventually he's going to have to get involved somewhere. And I think this would be a good place to do it, just because it's the festival. He might want to be returning home just to participate in it. Let's see. We've got 5 more minutes. What else? I don't have any like guesses at what the super boss is going to be. I think I think we're going to have something either Asgore gets to be the super boss, or Asgore gets to be like the main boss. Like he gets to play the role of like king and queen and Tenna. Um, I'm not entirely sure what the super boss could be though. There is a bit in the recent trailer, the recent teaser, where it looks like you're dodging a bullet pattern that looks like one of Omega Flowey's attacks from Undertale. Um, I think that's just gonna be. I think that's just going to be an attack from one of the flowers that Asgore has encased in like glass in the light world. Who knows? That could be the super boss as we get to fight the Undertale equivalent of Omega Flowey, but it's just the flowers that um Asgore has been Asgore has been taking care of. Uh, I don't think we're going to be seeing a whole lot of Chris like I don't think we're going to see them doing a whole lot of like pull the heart out and doing a whole lot of like shifty stuff on the side. I am putting my faith in Toby that he's not pulling the wool all over our eyes about this chapter, that this is kind of going to be the last fun ride before we go all in on the drama. It would not surprise me if that is the case. I super hope that if and when Asgore sees Ralsei, we get a bit more like attack. Like we get to see some of Asgore's like feelings towards Asriel. Like he's gonna see Ralsei and think, "Oh my God, it's my boy Asriel." And we're gonna finally get into that connection that Ralsei and Asriel have. I think that's a very good likelihood for this chapter. Hmm. What else? What else? What else? What else? Some shot in the dark theories I've been toying around with. I think I genuinely think that Asriel went to university to become some sort of coder or programmer. Because in chapter 2, I think, if you examine the computer in your bedroom, you can find that Azrael has a folder of like cool game stuff, and one of the design documents was a design for a final boss that had like rainbow wings, which is obviously a direct call out to Undertale. And I get the feeling that the game is hinting towards, oh, Asriel is the creator of Undertale within the context of Deltarune. Hi, FNAF for Life. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you're having a good morning. Hope you're excited for Deltarune Chapter 5. We're about a minute away. We're just talking theories and expectations at the moment. I think Asriel is going to be in some way aware that the world he's in is a game of some sort. And he's going to go to university to learn programming just so that he can get into the code of the world. Like that's my shot in the dark sort of theory. I think he's going to be the code wizard of like if he's a big part of chapter 6, he's going to be like a code wizard. Like he's somehow aware that Des is lost in the code of the world, So he goes to university to become a game designer just so that he can get into the code and try to bring her back. Which is going to be desperately heartbreaking if and when he actually meets up with the Roaring Knight. Okay. Where's the update? Toby, where's the update? Hello? Update? Update. I'm not early, am I? Yeah, it's available now. Where's the update? Manage downloads. Has it happened yet? Did it download already? When I wasn't looking? Let's see. Information. Properties. Updates. Installed content update August 5th, 2025. So it hasn't updated yet. If I start up the game now... Alright, no, it's not... We're not seeing it yet. What if I quit? Is it gonna run the update now? Where's the update? Where's the update, Toby? Where? Let me in! Let me in! Uh-oh. Where's my Deltarune, Toby? Oh, no. Restart Steam. Okay. I can do that. Exit Steam. Oh, no. Do not shut down OBS, please.